Today, we're going to be talking about my original plan for Scream 4. Just to let you know, I am going to do a part 2 and part 3 for 5 and 6. So, it was basically a thing I had in mind. I wanted to see what I can do with Scream 4. So, I decided to do something different, but a little close to Wes Craven. And this is what I had in mind, but I didn't do it because I didn't think it would turn out good. And me putting this on the internet, I don't think people would have liked it. So I decided to, you know, go ahead and I decided to pitch it. So basically, it was going to be the same thing how the movie was, but there were a few changes. Um, Jill is not the killer at all, but she is a main target. So, as you can tell, Sydney does return to her hometown for a book signing, but we have a another returning character is Mark Kincaid from Scream 3. And he was basically married to Sydney. So I'm gonna break down the original synopsis I have for this film. I meant not film script. I have for this fan script. So I'm gonna tell you everything I had in mind. So it was gonna take place in 2011. It was gonna take place 11 years later after Scream 3, and 15 years later after 1996. So basically, Jill was going to be struggling because in this timeline I had in mind, that Jill's father was a criminal and he got arrested months before this new Ghostface killer. So this killer has ties to the father. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, hey, Jill's father was never mentioned in the actual Scream 4. You gotta remember, this was my own idea and my own thing I was going to create. And I think people would have hated and loved it. So I'm going to tell you about the characters and I'll tell you about Ghostface's plan and Ghostface's motive, the deaths, and the overall conclusion. So, um, Ghostface is really brutal, and this time he's not only going after Jill's friends, he's actually going after her friends, but also people who encounter her. So this one had a higher body count. So the body count for this one was probably going to be up to 15 deaths. And yes, there was a step 7, step 6, step 5, step 4 in this one. But unlike in the movie, step 7 was in production. So basically, yes, it was gonna be like a Scream 3S, but it wasn't gonna revolve around the set. It was gonna revolve around Woodsboro. So Jill's father got arrested for a lot of things: robbing, scamming, just a lot of things. And the killer's motive has something to do with that. So let's talk about the characters and the death. So the characters is everybody you see in the other movie, in the actual movie, is actually in this. Haas and Perkins does have a little bit of a larger role. Robbie is not as, how do I put it? Just not that character that just wants to drink and party. He actually helps Jill figure out what's going on. And basically, this killer basically kills a lot of people. And the opening kill are Charlie and Olivia. And in this script I had in mind, Jill was not Jill. Charlie was basically liked Olivia more than Kirby, so they started dating prior to the murders. They get killed in the Casey Becker Stephen Orth homage in 1996, and that leaves chaos. Dewey and Gail were struggling with their relationship, so now, since they're struggling, they have to figure out who this killer is and what he wants. So, the deaths. I can tell you who died and who lived. So, Charlie, Olivia, died in the beginning. The third kill was going to be Rebecca Walters. She's the same person that she was in the movie. She was just a basic, dumb butt that just wanted money and fame and fortune. And she gets killed, but instead of dropping down from a building, she actually dies while in the elevator. At first, she thinks it's a prank, but then the killer kills her and leaves her in the elevator for the people to discover. So, that's exciting, because now Sydney has to figure out who's doing this, because now since her publicist is killed, her cousin is being targeted by this killer who has a connection to everything that's going on. Now, you have this connection that everybody's trying to figure out what's the secret, what's going on, who's doing this. So, the fourth kill is actually Judy Hicks. Yes, Judy Hicks did die. Although I liked her character in Scream 2022 a little bit. I think I wanted to do something with her. I think I wanted her to die. So she was the fourth person to get killed. And Sydney gets 3 phone calls instead of 2. And the third phone call, well, is basically an end of an era. Because now, since the killer said that he's going after Jill, and this has nothing to do with her, and the killer basically says, since you want to be involved, I'm going to put you involved. So now you have to figure out what's going on. And now she has to rush and hurry up before Jill's friend is killed. So the fifth person to get killed is Haas and Perkins. And they get killed in their car, just like in Scream 4. But Sydney discovers their bodies on the way to Kirby's house. Let me talk about Kirby real quick. Kirby is like the same way as her character was in the actual movie, but she does not go to the party. She actually stayed and comforts Jill while Trevor and Robbie goes to the party and everybody else goes to the party. So since they're at the party, Gail has to. Now, Gail, she is doing her own thing, her own investigating thing. So while Gail, Dewey, and Sydney are all split up, Sydney is trying to hurry up and save Jill. Gail is investigating the barn. Dewey is rushing to the barn, realizing that three of his deputies gets killed. Now, Mark Kincaid, he is actually becomes the new helper of Dewey in this script. So, Mark and Dewey are rushing to the barn when Mark gets attacked and gets pulled out the car while they're driving. But he doesn't die. So, Dewey saves him, but gets knocked out. And they are both knocked out and taken away from the killer. Gail gets attacked and eventually escapes. So now it's just chaos. Trevor and Charlie and Marnie and Jenny. Yes, Jenny and Marnie didn't get killed in the opening. Like I said, they are actual good characters. So they're at the house and it's time for the final act. Sydney arrives, Jill and Kirby get chased upstairs, and Robbie arrives, but gets attacked by Ghostface. So now instead of Charlie being tied up, it's Robbie that's tied up in the script. And yes, as you can tell, she does win the trivia, but then she thinks this could all be a trap, but decides to go out and save him anyway. Robbie stops her and tells her that she is nothing. She is no Randy substitute. She is just a means to an end. So he goes to find Jill. And Sydney arrives just in time to see Robbie unmasked. So the other killer comes in and reveals himself to be, you guessed it, Trevor Sheldon. And their whole motive? Well, they have a connection to Jill's father. Apparently, Jill's father actually stole money from both other families and basically run them out of town. And in a shocking twist, the house that they were gathered at in the final act was Stu Malker's farmhouse. Yes, Stu Malker, the second killer in Scream, they were all gathered in Stu Malker's house. The final act takes there. So, we basically learned what happened. Jill's father was a criminal. That's why Kate was drinking a lot. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Kate does die still. And she dies the same way that she died in the actual movie. So, that's shocking. And it's revealed that whatever happened to the father, well, they decided, since they couldn't kill the father, since he was in jail, they decided to go after the daughter. So basically, this is basically a Marine Prescott story, but don't worry. This is just this movie's motive. The other 5 and 6 has nothing to do with this whole motive. It sort of is connected, but 5 and 6 does go back to the original motives. So basically, so now Sydney and Jill has to fight them off. Jill gets attacked by Trevor and he almost kills her, but you guessed it, Dewey comes in. just in time and shoots Trevor in the throat. Jill takes the gun and shoots Trevor 3 times in the heart and 1 time in the head. Sydney is fighting Robbie, and she basically, and this is the most brutal death, she basically smashes his head against an oven, then proceeds to drop a blender, and it kills him. So he basically gets blood. His brain is basically gross. So the movie, not the movie, the script ends with Jill, Kirby, Sydney, Dewey, and Gail walking out the house and ambulance arrive. So basically, yes, that was my original plan and my original pitch I have for this Scream 4 fanfiction story. I think people would have hated and loved it. I think people would have hated it because the motive is very similar to the Maureen Prescott story. But yeah, it's exciting. And the only reason why this never happened is because I thought, like I said, I don't think people would have liked this idea, and considering what happened. Yeah, so that's my original pitch and idea I had for Scream 4. Next, I'll be talking about my original pitch I had for Scream 5, which was a little bit better and sort of connected to this motive, but it has a lot to do with the, original timeline. So as you can see, yes, this motive was never connected to Sydney at all. It never was. Sydney just got involved. And yeah, so I hope you guys really like this video. I really appreciate if somebody just gives me a comment down below and see if y'all have liked this idea or no. And that's a wrap. Goodbye, everybody.